All right, we are going to be talking about some really cool things with the gene keys in human design today. As usual, I will be streaming live on TikTok while we do these things because usually we have a lot of people that are asking questions over here. But one of the things that I really wanted to dig into today while you're here and while you're listening about how groovy these gene keys can really be for your business is the money motivation part. And this was like one of the coolest things for me in helping me understand, like, you see a sea of people like out there in online business land. Like if you're in coaching, if you're in fitness, if you're in anything like that, you see these other people out there like having $50,000 months, $100,000 months, $1 million months, and you can see the way that they spend their money and they celebrate, and maybe it doesn't feel like aligned to you, or maybe it's like, oh, is that the things that I'm supposed to want? And so what's really helped me is understanding what my actual money motivation is through the gene keys. And it is a whole assortment of 6 different things that really, whenever you get into the heart and soul of like who you are and what you want, it helps you to understand yourself better. It helps you to set goals even better, but also like it opens you up to all of the different things that motivate each and every one of us. And I'm sure that you can see a piece of yourself in all of them because I know that I can. I am a big believer that just because we have certain like numbers and things in our chart does not mean that you are bound by blood, that it's written in stone, that you can't ever change it. Because maybe it's just like the little rebel inside of me, but I do not like to just follow the rules blindly, especially whenever it comes to astrology, human design. Like at the end of the day, it is channeled out information. At the end of the day, somebody sat down and it really stirred and purred in their system and they shared it. And it's not anything that you're not able to do in your own life as well. Is to decide what the rules are for you, what is fact and what isn't. So it's totally in your hands what you decide to take, what you decide to leave. And so I love using these gene keys as a spark of my creativity, as a spark of my intuition, to help me get really clear about what it is that I want to do in business, the goals that I want to accomplish, the direction that I want to head in. And everything changes once you start understanding what it is that like your soul is craving to experience while you're here. And big believer right here in like that every single thing you learn about your gene keys is just a building block. Just like every single course that you take, every single thing you learn about human design, or like people that do NLP or tapping or hypnotherapy or shadow work, like all of it adds up to make you. All of it is like just pointing you in the right direction. And so I very much see these gene keys as like, after years of being in the spirituality world, it almost felt like I had done everything. Like I had toured around, I had been doing psychic medium work, and it felt like I was still circling the drain. If you know what I'm saying, where it's like, it just feels repetitive. This whole Mercury retrograde, this whole like everything just keeps happening like cyclically. And I was like, I want to bust free from that. I want to see what Stephanie's capable of doing. And what happened was I came across these gene keys at that exact time. I let down the old way of how I used to use my intuition. And I stepped into these gene keys, which are like this calling of this greater version of you. So it felt like I was in this tornado of spirituality. And the gene keys were like, don't mind my squeaky chair. The gene keys were like the emergency exit in a twister that were like, hey, are you ready to stop like circling the drain of your past and start seeing what you're able to create now? And I was like, yes, please. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So while we're here, if you have any questions about your specific gene keys, about your human design, whenever it comes to your online business, drop them down, let me know. But one of the first things that I really want to dive into today is actually our money motivators. And this is like one of the coolest parts of the gene keys that most people don't even get to, because it's like so deep inside of your chart that I'm going to tell you what, I have met so many brilliant people that have come across the gene keys, and they've told me, they're like, Stephanie, I put the book down, or I decided I wasn't interested in it just because it seemed too complex. It seemed like it was, oh yeah, we're going to dive into it, Melissa. And it seemed, so make sure, by the way, if you're watching, make sure you go pull up your gene key chart. So just go Google free gene key profile, and you enter your date, time, location of birth while we're here, and it will pull up this chart of like 11 different circles for you. And I always make the joke because it's like, if you're familiar with human design and you've put in your chart and you've gotten it, it's like, okay, like I understand that's a human body. Like that's kind of like the chakra system. This makes sense. Where the gene keys are like, what in the flippity flop is this? Like, that's 11 circles. What do these circles mean? This is madness. And so I spent a lot of my last year learning how to decode this because a gene keys for dummies just did not exist and I desperately needed it. But so I had to learn how to take this very complex language and simplify it down and make, like, instead of 6 pages of information, how do we turn this into a paragraph? How do we turn this into an emoji? How do we turn this into a sentence so that people can actually wrap their brains around it and then go use it? Because, like, at the end of the day, this shit is not meant to be, like, it's not a gatekeeping thing. And that's kind of what it felt like whenever I dove into it. I'm like, why is there nobody making content around this? Like, why is nobody like talking about this? And it's because so many freaking smart people have gone into it and been like, no, like, I'm just not interested. This is like too much craziness. And so it's always been my goal. I'm like, let's make this simple. Let's make this fun. Let's make it easy and potent so that you can actually take what you learn in one day and go run with it. Not that you have to like learn every single thing about it in a second, but like, there are ways to break it down and make it easier. I adore the gene keys, but I don't always understand how to apply them practically. Well, I'm so glad you're here because truly it really is a blend of like, because I used to be like the woo-woo girl, right? I was like airy fairy living in spirituality world. And this last year and a half, I've really become obsessed with action. And so I saw these gene keys and I was like, okay, we could sit here in a hammock all day and just think about these gene keys, or we can use these things to spark our creativity, to spark our idea machines that like are living and breathing inside of us all the time. Like, I don't know about you, but I had to really like tap into knowing that I was a genius, like knowing that like things want to come through me and that I'm always plugged in before like it really started flowing through. So really what the gene keys did for me was show me these archetypes, right? So a lot of people that, oh, yes, it is like a genetic code. That's such a good question. So they call the gene keys a living transmission. And it's like a deep dive into your human design and astrology. So some of the information you might be familiar with, but I like to think about it as like, if you had like one of those toy claw machines that went over your human design chart, and it just like this little claw machine went down and it grabbed up a couple of those planetary placements and then it moves it over to a different chart just to help you understand yourself better. Like, what is it that you bring to your career? Like, what is it that helps you make money? Like, what is your money motivation? What is it that's like your purpose that you can infuse into your work? Like, what is the thing that makes you glow from the inside out? All of these things, the way that we attract people in, all of these things just help us to understand ourselves a little bit better. And I don't know about you, but like, I love learning more about myself because that helps me to help other people. And it used to feel like a very selfish pursuit. Like, has anybody felt like that before where I was like, why am I just like craving to know more about myself? But the more we learn about ourselves, the more we're able to help other people. And it is the craziest, coolest thing in this planet. So I often say, I'm like, I do gene keys different than anybody else out there. I'm very focused on business. I'm very focused on like turning on these higher qualities, about taking action, about like taking these ideas of these archetypes. And instead of like using the gene keys, Melissa, as like just words, just like random words, I see those archetypes because I'm a big lover of like fantasy. I'm a big lover of like The Witcher and like Throne of Glass, like Sarah J. Maas, like Harry Potter, things like that. And so for me, just the words of the gene keys, like just understanding the words like didn't click. I needed a picture. I needed something that like sparked something in my brain. So usually when people tell me, they're like, oh, I have the gene key of serendipity. I know that's not one, but they'll like tell me a word and I'm like, Yeah, I don't know which one that is. Give me a number. And I'll tell you exactly what it is because that's just how my brain works. And I feel like all of us are different. And because that's how my brain works, that's probably, if you're drawn to this, that's probably how your brain works too. And you're like, ooh, I need it to be said in a different way that feels easier, that feels like, okay, I can wrap my head around that and take action from there. So one of those things, so you're turning on off gene keys. So what I really think of it as is when you learn this information about yourself, whether you like hear me talk about it or you go Google that gene key or you read about it in the gene key book, what really happens and what happened for me was it felt like a million lightning bolts going through my system. Hi, it felt like a million lightning bolts going through my system and just like this aha moment of like, holy crap, of course that's what I'm good at. Or holy crap, like I resonate with this so much. Or oh my God, like there's something inside of me that is saying, like, yes, 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 you need to do this thing. So the example I always give that like first turned me on to my gene keys, really activated those genes, almost like I think of it like a sleeper agent, where it's like you just hear a random word like skunk jamboree, and then you're like, whoa, I'm awake. Like I didn't even realize I was sleeping, but now I'm awake. And so that's what these very much did for me. It was just like a turning on of your system whenever you learn these certain things. And some of the gene keys that you'll read about with yourself, you'll be like, oh my God, no duh. Like now that I'm seeing this written out, it's like, of course that's my superpower. But other things, ooh, Melissa, I love that because this has like literally been my obsession for the past year and a half. And I used to be scared to talk about it. So I'm going to go into more of that in just a minute. But it was one of those things where some of your gene keys will be like, oh my God, I already knew that about myself. But other ones will be like, okay, I feel this in my bones that this is my higher calling. I feel this so deeply that this is what I'm meant to be doing. So for me, it was my voice. That was like my first initiation into the gene keys. And I used to hide behind my writing. I used to like treat my online business like my side girlfriend instead of like the golden girl that she was. And I was just like half in, half out. And I was scared to get on lives. Like whenever I would get on lives, it was very few and far between. And I used to do tarot readings and energy updates and like psychic medium readings. But I would sweat my face off. And I literally wanted to throw up because I was so scared of like where I thought everybody else and their mom was the expert. But it's like, even though I would study and I would learn all of this stuff, I've been the F boy in my business relationships. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you get this on a deep level because that's how I used to treat mine. And it is a totally different ball game now. Like I'm obsessed with her. She is like my beautiful wife. Like I'm married to my business now. It's not my side girlfriend. But it's one of those things that whenever you learn these things about yourself, it's that higher calling. And so mine talked about my voice. I never wanted to get on camera. I thought everybody else knew better than I did. And I had to like, even though it was in my gene keys and it was something that I was good at naturally, it didn't mean that like I was perfect at first. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't mean that I just like got on camera after I learned that and I was like, oh, there's a million people listening to me and they're all here for it. Like, no, like there were plenty of times where I was talking to the pigeon family outside of my window. I usually say the family of crickets, but like technically I'm on the second floor. So there's a little pigeon family that lives upstairs. But like I had to lean into the voice piece of my gene keys and strengthen it and work with it every single day. And like there was like 4 months straight that I got on Instagram live and I taught a lesson every single day for 4 months, whether it was to the family of pigeons or I had 10 people there. I strengthened my voice and it went from like, if you scroll down to my old TikToks, I sound like a totally different human being in just the last year. And so and month by month there's changes. So these gene keys really are this like call to greatness where like yes, it activates this inside your system, but it's also like, hey, are you going to show up for this gift now? Like I'm a big believer that like we all have superpowers and talents, but like most of the time we're too embarrassed and don't think that our talent is good enough or the thing that we have to bring to the table is good enough because you're comparing yourself to somebody's chapter 10. You know what I'm saying? Like you're comparing yourself to somebody who's like been doing this for years, or just like had quick fame. By the way, I'm a big believer that, like, yes, some of your manifestations do come through very quickly. I've had that and it has been incredible. But also, like, you can't compare someone else's roadmap of success to your own. And you've really got to start falling in love with your own map and being cool with your own map, because it's not about just what you're making this month. It's not about even just what you're making this year in your business. What are you doing throughout your whole life? And these gene keys really turn that on. It's like, hey, what is it that you want to, like, make your art form? What talent do you want to bring to the table? Because one talent unlocks another, unlocks another. And most of the time, we're just not giving our talent enough time and enough energy to breathe. If I would have only leaned into my voice for a month and been like, why am I not a millionaire yet? Like, I would not be here, and I would not have sold a bunch of courses, and I would have not, like, shown up and had, like, really fun posts that I put out that, like, feel like me. And I get deeper and deeper into my own energy every single time I post something and every single day that I show up. And so we got to let our talent breathe. We really got to do it. Is the Kabbalah the main thing to learn when it comes to human design? You know what's funny? I'm not really familiar with the Kabbalah. I'm sure that's probably something I'll study in some time or another. For human design, for me, gene keys made sense first. So I really learned human design even through the lens of gene keys. And I see them as very much married. But if you have questions about, like, the origin of human design, I have lots of buddies in the human design world, like Brandy Yates. We just did an event together last weekend. She's super fun. She's on lives like every single morning, and she's amazing. And she might be able to give you a little bit more on the background. For me, and I don't know, let me know if you're like this, by the way. It was like the best feeling in the world whenever I heard this. And I used to think that, like, to get online and to teach and to, like, use my voice, I had to be perfect and I had to know all of the answers. And hi, I'm so glad you're here. But if you've ever felt like that before, let me know, or drop an emoji, like, that you have to be perfect or you have to know it all before you get online and before you start teaching. And one of the most freeing things that I ever read was a quote from Albert Einstein, where they had asked him, yeah, you get it. They had asked him, they're like, well, how many feet are in a mile? And he's like, why would I fill my brain with that information that I can find in a book? And my mind was blown by that. From, like, what people consider, like, one of the smartest people in the world, the fact that he was like, no, I don't just fill my brain with facts. Like, I use my brain space and my capacity and my genius for what feels really good to me. So it's so funny. Sometimes, like, I talk about human design a lot because I see the gene keys in human design as married. But one of the things that, like, people, like, sometimes ask me questions about, like, the triple split definitions. And, like, even though I've read it a million times, for some reason it just doesn't click and land in my brain. But does that make me any less good at what it is I do? No, because I don't need to fill my mind with that. That's not something that I genuinely find as important, but somebody else will. And somebody else can tell you, like, every single thing we learn from every single person in this world is a brick that goes into the house, that goes into the structure that makes us successful. You know what I mean? So I love bringing that to the table, just in case you've ever thought, like, I would have loved to hear this a year ago. If you've ever thought, like, you have to be perfect, you're welcome. If you ever thought you had to be perfect to get online and to teach, I'm going to tell you what, the more that you actually teach, the more that you learn. You could sit there and study books and try to get it perfect all day, but nobody needs it directly from the book. Especially if you have, like, a line 2 in your profile, nobody needs it directly from the book, because really, you're supposed to say it in your own words, in your own verbiage. And when you do that, you open the door for so many more people to understand it that could have just gone to the book if they needed it said that way. You know, like, there's a reason people are drawn to the way I talk about gene keys, because it is not even in the same universe as the book. Like, I try to make it in a way that feels fun for me, that feels chipper, that feels like rainbow, that feels funny, and, like, let's not take it so seriously. And that makes other people feel at ease. So do not ever underestimate the power of your point of view, like the way you see something and what you find important. So you don't have to have everybody's answers for everything. So thank you, Opulent, for like bringing up that question, because like I love touching on the fact that like we are all so unique, and like what we bring to the table is so unique, and you don't have to be perfect to show up and teach. Okay, I felt the gene keys in my body. It was like music activating me as I read it. Yes, Melissa, that's how I felt too. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Like it was so good that it was just like, I got to know more about this. And I really like was very passionate about like, how do I teach people how to do this easier? But Melissa, one of the things that oh, there's Lee. Hi. I think I manifested you because I was thinking, I wish I had someone to teach me about human design. Yeah. And by the way, before I dive into this money motivation talk, like what all of the different money motivators is, and like you will see yourself in each and every one of these. Like there will be pieces of you that you're like, oh, I really like that. Or like, oh, maybe that feels more like me. Like, but you have like a certain one that like is probably going to really ring true. And I always say, I'm like, you don't have to stay just in your gene key chart. Like there's something for you to learn from every single line, from every single gene key, whether you have it in your chart or not. There's pieces of gold. You can activate it at any time because you are an incredible person that like, you're not defined just by your chart. You get to decide what it is that's important to you and your business. That's how I feel about human design cardiology. Yeah. And so before I jump in, I have the grooviest double masterclass that is available if you have been struggling whenever it comes to creating content on your Instagram, on your TikTok, things like that, because this was something that the Gene Keys really helped activate for me, was fun, easy flowing content. So it's really all about like making sure that you're plugged into the source. So there's like a little groovy, energetic ceremony at the beginning of it. Because I was telling Melissa, I was like, I used to be very woo-woo, but then I learned all about like getting my hands dirty, like being very practical in business. But I love how the two marry together. So it's like a really cool ceremony to plug in your energy and just know that like literally every hour, every minute, if you wanted, there is a post that wants to come through you that will attract your dream clients, that will call in your audience that are like hungry for your message. And so it's just about like truly believing that in your body. I go into the human design and gene key profile lines and how you can leverage them to really show up in your content and to even brand yourself. And then the second day masterclass, and this is previously recorded, so you can watch it all in one night, or you can spread it out how good it feels. And then the second one has some like plug and play templates to like get your energy and your creativity sparked, and really like different ways to post than anybody else out there is talking about on the internet. Because I don't know about you, but whenever I started learning business, it was all about like, it has to be really valuable and really like long form and like a novella and like really intense. And I used to sit there for like an hour and a half, like feeling drained, trying to put all this value in a post, instead of realizing like these lickety split quick posts, like these short form contents were actually the gold that got my creativity revved up and made me excited to start posting, where I post like 2 or 3 times a day over on Instagram now, just because I'm like, I have so much to say. And so this masterclass will like activate that inside your system, so you can take it at your own pace. It's a 2-part masterclass called Keys to Content. But here's the groovy juice. If you have been wanting some guidance with these gene keys, or you've just been like craving one-on-one support, but you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to go like full pull into coaching, I have an hour Voxer coaching that goes with that masterclass for $120. Like, are you kidding me? This was like, I've been dreaming about this offer all summer. Like since May, I'm like, I'm going to make July like a no-brainer summer for people to get into. So whenever you get that double masterclass, the link is in my bio. It's called Keys to Content. You also get an hour of one-to-one Voxer coaching with me, all about your gene keys. And I help you like direct your energy in your business and give you like actionable steps to take as you move forward. So make sure that you hop on that, because I'm only doing that for a little bit longer. I'm about to go on a trip here soon. So make sure you go sign up and get in on that now. Okay. but I am going to cover the money motivation. Let me answer some of these. I have seen that masterclass because I never heard of Gene Keys. Yeah, I have a lot of different, oh, you might have to see that masterclass because I've never heard of Gene Keys. Yeah, that would be a really good one to start. I have like a freebie in the link in my bio that's all about the Gene Keys. Like if you're brand spanking new, you can also DM me. I have an old masterclass that I created that kind of goes over the information in that freebie as well. So just like DM me over on Instagram or over here and I can send that to you. I think I have it on like one of my Facebook groups, but yeah, make sure you get in on that. Do you do consultations to help someone learn more about themselves through human design? So I don't really focus on human design as much as it is the Gene Keys. So I often bring human design into the way that I describe things because so few people know what the Gene Keys are. And a lot of times whenever people are interested in human design, they're also interested in the Gene Keys, or they find out that the Gene Keys exist. So really, what I teach about human design is mainly through the lens of the Gene Keys, which is like the profile numbers and how important those are to how you show up in your business, how you use your voice, how you create content, how you make money, how you attract clients. But also, like, each one of the Gene Keys is like your human design gates. So like I'm very, very in tune with like all of those different, like if you were to look at your human design chart and all of those little lit up numbers, I'm very familiar with those because that is what the information that pulls over to the Gene Keys is. So I've always seen them as like BFFs, right? So I would probably, for you, if we're doing like the one-to-one consultation, what I do for everybody is I pull up their Gene Key chart and I show them, I talk to them and I tell them what is standing out to me and what's going to be really important in their business. They tell me the things that they're passionate about, how we can, like, we come up with ideas of how they can blend that together to create courses, to create like different products that they can put out there. And then also, like, I love business strategy. Like I was saying earlier, like, I love the nitty gritty of like what it means to show up every day for your business. And I didn't used to know how to do that because I came from the spiritual background of like, I'm in the feminine flow and everything just shows up for me. But it's like, actually, I needed to like know the nuts and bolts of how to show up for a business. So anytime that like people come into that one-on-one space, it's a really cool thing where you can like creatively riff, where you can ask questions about your Gene Keys, and I can help guide you in the right direction of what your next moves can be for your online business. So hopefully that answers your question. But let's go into the money motivators, because this is actually like so exciting. And like, if you have your Gene Key chart pulled up, we're zooming in on the pearl. So like, I don't waste time. People, like most people that teach you or talk about the Gene Keys, which there's not a lot of them, but a lot of the stuff that gets talked about is like, oh, wait to dive into your pearl. Like you have to go through all of this other golden path before you get to your pearl section. And I'm like, I want to know about how I can thrive in business now. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like whenever people come either to my lives or to the Gene Keys in general, like, you're not at your first rodeo whenever it comes to like spirituality and understanding your emotions and your intuition. Ooh, I love the two, Melissa. I can't wait to tell you about it. So like what we're going to be zooming into today is that number behind the decimal. That is where your money motivator is. And so that first Gene Key, that pearl, that one in the very center, I call that the money-making Gene Key, but truly what it is whenever we're tapped into this energy, we allow this energy in our life, that's where the best money-making ideas come through. Because I don't know about you, but I am such a big believer in like, God cannot do to you what he can do through you. And I would like, yes, we love whenever incredible things just show up in our lap, but like, how juicy is it for you to actually get your hands dirty in this life, and for you to like see what you're capable of, and for you to like stretch your talents and your gifts and abilities and like come up with ideas that want to move through you, that challenge you in ways that make you grow so that you can make money and you can like build an empire if that's what you so choose. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I am obsessed with business. I think that it's a beautiful thing. I think that it's fun and I really like it. And I'm not afraid of being dedicated to it. It used to be something that I was like a feral cat. I was like, give me you, get away from me. I don't want to work hard. And now I'm like, I'm like a late blooming A-type personality. I'm a late blooming Capricorn. Like I love work. And so you will see pieces of yourself in each one of these money motivators for your pearl. But what we're going to be zooming in on today is that number behind the decimal. So looking at your gene key chart, there's that top that is all in blue. And we're talking about the center there, that pearl. And we're going to be looking at the number behind that decimal. This is like when I wish I could share screens with you, like over here. You can get your gene key chart. Just go Google free gene key profile and the gene key website should come up, and just enter your date, time, location of birth. And it will give you 11 different circles. They all mean something different. And just so we are like all on the same page, if you're brand spanking new to this, or if you've heard me use this description before, just saddle up, because like I love explaining them this way. So in each one of those circles, there is a gene key and there is what they call a line, which is like kind of confusing because it's behind a decimal and there's other lines in the chart, but that's what's considered a line. So there's a gene key and then decimal and then the line. So that number is the line. There's 64 gene keys. So in each one of those 11 circles, you can have 1 through 64. And so I love to think about these 64 different gene keys as like a bunch of different race horses. But there's palominos, there's Arabian horses, there's paint horses, there's ponies, there's quarter horses. All of these gene keys are different, all these different horses, right? They all have different personalities, some spicy, some are sweet, some of them are fast, some of them are a little slower. Like it doesn't matter, they're all different. And so if we're talking about like Melissa's pearl, it's 2.2. So what we would do looking at Melissa's pearl is we grab that second horse. So say it's like this little Shetland pony, like a little cute pony. And we grab that second gene key, that second horse. And then that line, that number after the decimal, this is a 1 through 6. And this is going to be very familiar to you if you are into human design profile lines. So it's going to be the 1 through 6. And so I love to think about this as 6 different jockeys. They're all wearing different colored shirts: yellow, blue, purple, green. We got one of them that's a little zazzier. We got one of them that's a little friendlier. We got one of them that's a little bit more of a loner. Somebody else is just like, he's got like Gryffindor energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's 6 different ones. So with Melissa's, she's got that second little pony, that second gene key, and then we're going to grab that second jockey. And so he's like wearing a green shirt and we bring him over. He's like a happy little camper. And so he's going to ride that pony different than the 5th jockey. Just like the second one is going to sit different than he would on the 62nd gene key. So do you see why, like, okay, there's 11 different spheres, 11 different circles in your gene key chart, but then in each one of those, you have the possibility of all those combinations of the 64 gene keys, the 64 horses, and the 6 jockeys, the 6 lines. That's why we're all so different. Like, that's really like what makes you so special. And whenever you utilize this thing, and I'm not ever saying you have to be married to what is in your chart, because that is like stifle your magic much. Like you are not, you don't have to follow this like nose for nose, line for line, but use it as a guidebook. Like if you would look at a map, there's multiple ways for you to get somewhere. You get to choose, but it just helps guide you. Like, okay, this is the direction. This is something that I want to lean into. And so truly, whenever we realize how unique we are, we can start using it to our advantage, and we can start showing up in our business and like how we brand ourselves, how we use our voice. I talk about this a lot. I won't go over it today because like the brand and the life's work is like so potent for the way that I teach the gene keys and the way that I show up in my business. But, each one of them really helps you to understand your specialness and what your secret sauce is. Like, because it's a marriage of all of these things together. It's funny, whenever I do these readings for people And even just like spending the hour on Voxer together, like how after you grab like 3 or 4 gene keys, it starts painting this picture, and it really like starts bringing everything together, like this picture of you and what makes you successful. So it's super cool. But what we're going to be diving into is that pearl today, the one in the center, and that the lines or the number after the decimal. So the very first one, if you have a 0.1 behind that, oh, yours is a 23.4. Ooh, that 23 is all about being a wordsmith, just so you know, whether it's writing or whether it's like speaking. Like you have a way of like simplifying things and putting it in like very potent words that changes people's lives, just so you know. But okay, so yours is a 0.4, Melissa's is a 0.2. So I'm going to dive into the 0.1. Does anybody here have a 0.1 behind their pearl if you brought it up? Because this one is really interesting. And a lot of the successful people that I've seen have this. I've done a lot of work with other business owners, with other entrepreneurs, whether they're making $20,000 months or people that make $100,000 weeks. Like I've seen all of these different things. And it's been really, really cool to see how people use this in business. I'm definitely a talker. I'm so glad to hear that. I love that. I'm a talker too, obviously. Clearly, you have to be a talker to get on here and just speak for like an hour plus. But so the line ones are very interesting because they are all about like simplicity. And so this doesn't mean that like you don't make money. This doesn't mean that like you only want so much money. No, like these people actually like they benefit whenever their space is like simplified and clean and like kept to almost like a minimal. Like they don't need a bunch of stuff like overcrowding them. They actually like that makes them feel like choked off. Like they need to keep things clean and simple for themselves, but also the way that they manifest money. Oh, that isn't a problem for me. I'll talk for hours. Nice. Oh, you're a 13.1. Cassie. And that 13, by the way, sorry. I'm like, I go like here, there, and everywhere with it, but this is like my line 2. I'm a 5'2". And so like my line 2 will like take me down all these different like magical tunnels, and just everything that I say, just know whether you have these gene keys or not, there's something for us to learn in each one of these. There's a piece of gold that you can take and you can run with. And so that 13, Cassie, if you've never listened to the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, it was like they used to do like seminars all about it. It was written in like I think the 30s. But it's a really good one that I often like suggest to anybody that has the 13, because you're a master at listening to other people. And actually, the more that you listen to other people, the more money you make, the more opportunity you're opened up to, because people do not realize that actually the more that you are willing to listen to someone else, truly, the more they want to do for you. Like, and this doesn't have to be manipulative. Like, and in all honesty, like, let's be real about sales. Like, they're like, to make sales and to sell, like you have to touch on people's emotions to get their aha, to get their attention, right? Like, let's not play it down, because you can have the best product in the world, but if you're not catching someone's attention, then what the heck are you doing? Like, I know how that is, because that's how I used to be. But there's so much magic whenever you give somebody else the space to shine with that 13, and you ask them about yourselves. Like, you'd be very, very good at interviewing other people. And like, I don't know if you have a podcast right now, but like, it is a perfect place to get a lot of people in your arena and then like let them shine, and then they will bend over backwards for you. Not only that, but truly, like, whenever you listen to people, you get gold. There's so much that's going to come to you, and ideas that are going to be sparked like in your brain, because you were willing to listen. Because I know how we all are. We're like, whenever we have conversations, somebody will say one thing and we're like, oh, I want to chip in on that. Like, I want to tell you more about that. And so there is this like beautiful lean back with that 13 of like, yes. And I've known plenty of 13s that they are still talkers, right? But whenever you hone into the fact that listening is like an incredible skill set of yours, everything will start to change. I promise you that. But yeah, like podcast interviewers always come up very strong in my brain, like especially right now as I'm talking to you. Like any way that you can bring other people into your world and help them to shine is going to help you shine. It's just almost like this law that will happen for you. But okay, so the 0.1 in your pearl, if you have the 0.1 behind your pearl, I just wanted to fill you in on that, Cassie, because that felt very important. But yeah, this is all about that simplicity. And so what I see with these 0.1s is that they keep their life, like they do really well when they keep their life a little bit more like on the up and up, like not a bunch of like, not like you don't need a bunch of fluff. You don't need a bunch of like extra stuff all the time. It doesn't mean you can't have things you love, but I've seen with these people where they manifest like mofos. Like as soon as they need something, it shows up for them. Like it's just like one thing after the next, after the next. And it's almost like, can you have the ability to just like have your one thing that you're doing, then your next thing that you're doing, then your next thing, and almost be like beeline with what it is instead of like that shiny object syndrome that we all get sometimes. But like, it's almost like you just focus in on these one things. And when you let the magic happen, it's almost like fireworks. It keeps happening faster and faster and faster. So see that as your superpower, that like the more streamlined and simplistic you can get with like these things that you're creating, and even things that you're doing in your business. If you're like, okay, it's my goal to interview 4 people a month for my podcast. I'm going to do this for 3 months and see what that happens. Like it is my goal to post twice a day. Like I'm going to do this. Like whenever you have those goals and you just like stick to them and you almost like get married to them, like things pop off very quickly for you. So I always see these people as like, they really are master manifestors, these ones. And whenever they like let their energy just feel clean, feel pure, and like don't fog themselves up with like too much confusion, they can really make magic happen and have a lot of stuff come their way. So your money motivation is really like, I just like that next thing, like it's going to show up for me. Like, it's just knowing, like, I'm always going to be taken care of, like every single thing that I want, like I'm craving that next thing. And so I don't ever think that this is a bad thing, by the way. You know how people are like, how can you just like never be satisfied with your life? Okay, of course you can love exactly where you are right now. Like it's beautiful to love where you are right now. But like, just like riding a bike, my goodness, like us humans, we were made to like achieve and do things that like take us to a different edge, and they challenge us and they help us to grow. Like our souls didn't just come here to hang out in a hammock for 7 years straight. Like, I'm sorry, that I just don't believe that. Like that's not what, maybe when I'm 87 years old, but I don't know, I'll probably still be like climbing mountains and doing stuff like that. But truly, you have these drives for the next best thing for a reason, and it's healthy and there's nothing wrong with it. You can love exactly where you are now, but know that you are made for even greater, because the more that we tap into that clean energy too, the more that you create, there's less walls. Like you're just like letting it flow through you and things happen much faster. Yeah, more as a person and be satisfied. Yeah, I think it's fun to be hungry for more. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like I've never felt so alive as I have in this last year and a half, where I have been hungry for more. And I have just like decided that like it doesn't have to be simple. Like I want to see what I can create while I'm here. I want to see all of the things, how far I can go. And you're the same way. You have the ability to get whatever it is that you want. It's there for you. I'm always looking for feedback, and I love long-winded combos sharing knowledge. Oh, I'm so glad that you like that, Cassie. Oh, good. I love hanging out here and like having these conversations, because like I'm a big believer that the right people are drawn to information at the right time, you know? And so you're going to take what you need and run with it. And like, you could let this information very easily just like fly over your head, or you can like grab it and sink your teeth into it and be like, let me see what I can do with this. And so if you are like, if you started an online business or you're rebranding yourself, or even if you're like brand spanking new, make sure you follow me over here, but especially make sure you follow me over on Instagram, because I have been doing the business thing for, I was a lavender farmer before, and I made all natural products. And so I've been doing the business thing. I was doing my psychic medium work. I'm a 5-year entrepreneur now, but the last year has really been through online business and through selling services and creating courses. So if that's the kind of thing that you love, like even speaking, like if that's the kind of thing that you love, make sure you follow me over on Instagram, because I was like dropping all the coolest bombs on like the feed, on my stories all the time if you love this kind of stuff. So, oh, thank you, Sandra. I so appreciate that. And like, that's the importance of all of us showing up with our own magic, because like nobody's going to explain things like you. Nobody is you. Like, that's why every single day another person can enter the fitness industry and make 6 figures, make 7 figures, even though it's already been done for years and years, because you have something different. You have something different to bring to it. It's just like, how damn important do you see yourself as? Like, how cool do you think your brain is? I often say that whenever it comes to like posting content, if you're having a hard time, because I used to really have a hard time with that. I knew I needed to show up every day and post for my business, but it felt difficult. It felt like I'd sit at my computer and I wanted to throw it in a river, because like I was like, how do I get what's in my brain on the paper, on the computer? And so really, like, whenever I tapped into these gene keys and I realized like, oh, my point of view matters. My point of view is cool. That's when everything starts changing. The way that you show up on camera, the way that you show up in your content, and the way that people respond to you and are attracted to you, because you just believe that you're the cat's pajamas, that you are the goat, and like nobody else can replace you. Like, it's the craziest thing in online business. Like, you really have to start thinking how groovy you are. And then other people are like, hey, you're super groovy. Like, I really, really like you. I promise you. Like, it's always been like that. You're such an inspiration for us to keep learning. Thank you so much, Sandra. I appreciate that so deeply. Because like I said, at the very beginning, there were plenty of times whenever I really started going full pull in my online business that I was talking to the family of pigeons outside my window, but you literally just keep doing it because it's your soul's work, and everything falls into place. The more that you show up for your gift, the more that you let your talents shine and stretch. And it's like putting on a tight pair of jeans. You just like, you stretch into it. It's a little uncomfortable. It brings up all of the crap that it's like, but on the other side of it, you look kick-ass in your jeans. You make money online. You attract people that like love what it is that you're saying, and like it helps change their life. And it is the coolest thing ever. There's enough success and money to go around. Each person is so unique. Oh my gosh. Inez, like, I've been reading, what's his name? Do I have one of his books here? It is Dr. Russell, something with a B. I can't think of it. And like, it's about, I almost want to go get it. Hang on. Okay, I got it. Okay, so this is called You Too Can Be Prosperous. And I've read a lot of his books. They more like lean on like the religious side, but also like at the heart of it, it's all about manifestation. It's really all about manifestation. But this one is very, You Too Can Be Prosperous, Robert A. Russell. And it talks about exactly what you're saying, Inez, where it's like, we have an unlimited supply, and like nobody can F with your supply. You can't mess with anybody else's. It's just like what we decide. Like, we get to decide how much we let into our lives. And so literally, I've always thought about like the world around me, like God, the quantum field, kind of like the waves in the ocean in Moana, where it's like always just like working for her. It's always just there. And so at any single time, like every single thought that you have, it's like you're impressing your energy, your intention on the substance that's around you. And like you get to decide how much of it comes into you. So you have this infinite supply. So I love every single one of you that's hanging out here today, because like the way that you see things, it's so crystal clear. And I'm so glad you're here. I have to step away. I'll be back soon. Yeah, Melissa, make sure you follow me on other places. And I usually talk more about this kind of stuff. Everything is energy. We're here to learn how to create with that energy, for sure. No, for sure. And so this next one is the point 2, which Melissa was so patient and waiting for me to get to this one, but I have this in other places too. Oh, you're back. Oh, I was just, okay. I'm glad you're here. Okay. I was just about to get into the 2, and I feel like this one's so important. And I've talked about this here and there in other places before, but like I'm big on repetition. I don't know about you, but like I'm big on repetition because sometimes I need things said in like 80 different ways for it to like really click, or for me to even just like remember to ignite that in my system. And so whenever you have the point 2 behind your pearl, in the very, very center, that very center gene key, whenever you have that point 2, I find this one to be so interesting. This is all about recognition. So your soul craves and is motivated by being recognized. And I see this with a lot of people who have a very good social media presence or are working towards that, is that like they're really driven by getting eyes on their content, eyes on their stuff. And like we're told from such a young age of like, you're just trying to get attention, or like, yeah, an attention whore, like all of those things. And even like this makes me think about celebrities too. Even like their drive and motivation to like get out there and be famous. I feel like there's this like tucked under like little Kindle, little spark of like, once I make it and once I have my presence on this world stage, like I can make a difference. Like I can for sure make a difference. I have a defined ego and I'm a projector. So, oh, I love that combination. I feel like I don't see that combination a lot. That's very interesting. I'm like so for it. And like Melissa, I'm such a stinker whenever it comes to projectors, because like I feel like a lot of projectors, and you probably understand this on a deep level, I feel like a lot of projectors are sold this like, woe is me, I have to sit back, I have to not do anything. And like actually Brandy Yates is such a good, I always tell her, I'm like, you are such an incredible example for projectors, because she shows up for her online business almost every single day. She goes live and she posts. That doesn't mean that she's like constantly working, but like she's really using her full guiding powers to the best of her abilities and not selling herself or her energy short. I know that too. I have something the world could be changed by. Oh, I freaking love that. And I love that you have like Muse in your name, because that like lights a fire in my system. I love that. I have energy for my mission. Ugh. Okay. I'm like so jazzed that you're here. Okay. But this 2 that you have, it's really like there's nothing wrong with wanting the attention, because here's the thing. You crave that attention. God is craving that attention. The quantum field is craving that attention through you, because you have something really important to deliver. This isn't ego shit. This isn't like getting so swept up in yourself, which like, hey, it's okay to love yourself, by the way. Like you're here and you're this like cool little person. Like, by the way, we're all humans, and it's like cool to love yourself and this little personality that you've chosen to have while you're here, and to like keep making it better. But just so you know, you crave that recognition because you are meant to make a difference. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. Like if there was something wrong with it, I would never get on these lives and I would never talk. Like I don't have the 2 in my chart, but like I crave recognition because I know that I have things that change people's lives. It's just part of my mission. It's like written in the song of my soul. Stephanie, you got to get up there and you got to show people and you got to talk and you got to stretch that talent so that the good that wants to spill through you can get to as many people as possible. It's not really about me. It's divine inspiration delivered through me. Oh, I love that. I've always thought about us as like, we're instruments. We are so like, we think that these are ideas that are ours. Like, oh, I want to get TikTok famous, or oh my God, I want to be like, I want to have 30,000 followers or 120,000 followers on Instagram. You think it's like you, right? And it's like, no, you are just the instrument to make that happen. Like, that is the divine wanting it through you. That is the divine guiding you and saying, like, this is what you can have. This is how you can make an impact. It's just another one of your stepping stones. So you really do have like your money motivation. It's like, it's through recognition. So anything that you can do, Melissa, to like stretch that and to be like, how can I put myself out there more? I've always thought about this. Hi, Diamond. I've always thought about this as like, you know, it's my job to be seen. So there would be times where like I didn't feel like teaching on Insight Timer Live, or I didn't feel like getting on TikTok. And I'm not saying like do things that burn yourself out, but there's been so many times where I've gotten on whenever my little human self didn't feel like it. And I felt like $1,000,000 after I did it, because I was doing my soul's work. It was my job to be seen. And then I attracted a client into that course or into that masterclass or whatever it was, because I didn't sell myself short. And I was like, hey, I could either sit on the couch and twirl my thumbs right now, or I can do what I was meant to do. Or I could like get up and see, even if I talk for 10 minutes, like it's going to feel so good to my soul, because it is my job to be seen. That's what I'm working through. Not feeling like it. Oh my God, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Yes. Oh my gosh. I understand that on such a deep level. And it was a, like, I'm not going to butter coat it, sugar coat it. I'm not going to butter coat it for you. Cause like butter, you like slip things through. That's a really fucking weird thing to say, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like whenever I went from like not doing anything and treating my business like a side, I like butter, like treating my business like a side girlfriend, to treating it like it was very important. That hump that I had to get over, I was tired a lot at the time. And I felt like off and I felt weird. But on the other side of that, after like 2 weeks of just like selling every single day, posting every single day, posting on TikTok every single day, I got into this rhythm. Butter's line. I love that. That is so funny. I love when emojis come through. I really, really do. It's like one of my favorite things. Oh my gosh. Yeah, butter and sugar. That sounds delicious. But once I got over that initial hump of like feeling uncomfortable about it and like, oh my God, like it got easier. And it just like became a non-negotiable in my life. And like, I started trusting myself more. Nicole, I even saw you like posting like nonstop. Nicole took my my keys to content masterclass and just started like firing out content like a mofo. And it's been like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I was like, like this is so fun, because that's how it should, like it gets to feel that way. And like the more, and memes, I love memes, Nicole. It's so fun. That's like, memes is a part of my keys to content masterclass that's in the link in my bio, that like, it's so important to me. Like I love having a sense of humor in my business. It brings a sparkle. And so if you're attracted to the way that I talk, it's probably because you have a very, very good sense of humor too. And maybe your business is just needing more of that infused in it to make it fun for you to show up every single day. I know that's how it was for me. It was harder for me to get over that hump because I was trying to be so prim and proper during that time. I was trying to be like all these other business coaches and online people, human design readers, things like that, where it's like everything was so gorgeous and like the templates and the neutrals. And I'm like, I'm neon and weird. Like I'm super weird. And like, it was harder for me to show up more because I wasn't being true to myself. So I always say like any of my master classes or my courses are me, like after I got the kitchen dirty, like I hand you the cupcake and I'm like, here you go. You can take it if you want it, or you don't have to, the line 5 in me, but like, here it is, so that you don't have to take as long to understand these things and to tap into your gifts. And so I'm reverting to the childhood magic for sure. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay. I even turned on SpongeBob the other day. Like, just, it's so weird now watching it, but like, I turned on SpongeBob the other day. Sometimes I send SpongeBob like with the rainbow hands in my emails and stuff, like just because that is my weirdness. And I want to post more of my weirdness. And like it doesn't even matter to me how many people are like, I love this, or if there's like 15 people that love it, if there's 2 people that love it, if there's 100 people that love it, like it doesn't matter. Like it made me feel sparkly and it made me feel excited. And like you get to like bring it back to the two, what we were talking about, Melissa, like what feels good to you is what's going to get you recognized, is what's going to have people really see you. So like I put out just this random meme the other day with like these velociraptors in Jurassic Park, and it was all about like manifesting generators, and it felt so much like me. It wasn't like what people would say like storytelling or value content, but it brought so many people over to my page. And it's like, because that felt fun. Ryan, you're a 5'2". I don't see a lot of 5'2s ever because we're a little more different. Yes. I'm like, okay, yeah. I love that you're a 5'2". So like all of my content is probably really, really going to resonate with you, because I talk a lot about 5s and 2s, and just like I don't see anybody that's a 5'2" like really talking about it that much. So yeah, you're gonna enjoy this. Yes, I am like, why are they treating it so seriously? Where's the inner child, silly and glitter? For sure. Yes, like go over to my Instagram if you need some of that inspiration. Like making memes with like Kermit the Frog. Like my threads is insane. Like it's really like the goofiest memes. Like if I could show you right now on my phone, I would. Like I posted something with a bunch of Furbies on it today on my threads. Like, and it's like, hey, like this is the perfect combination for business. And it's like one Furby says God, one Furby says me, one Furby says Gene Keys. And I'm like, that's like who I am. Like, and when I do that, I'm excited. And when I'm excited, I show up on here and I show up on video and I'm happy and I'm like glowing, like you have your own secret sauce. And I really do feel like if people are drawn to my stuff, it's because like there is a piece of humor that like you can infuse in your business as well. Like we're not a bunch of like lamby-pamby, I don't think that's a word, lamby-pamby, like boring people. Like I talk all the time. I'm like, I'm not your girl that's going to be like taking the picture in a blazer, like topless underneath, just not because it's not cool, but just because like that's not me. Like I'm weird and I'm different. And like you're weird and different too if you're here. And so that's like one of the cool things about these gene keys is it like points us in the direction of like what our weird is. I'm going to be doing, by the way, over on my Instagram, I have a collection of all these people that are like really good with branding that I'm going to be inviting over to my Instagram too. And I'm really excited about the way that like branding falls in with these gene keys. I've been doing a lot of branding research lately, and it's very interesting how my brand, like my brand archetype, matched up perfectly with my gene keys. And it's like crazy. So it's all really cool stuff. I'm here for it. I have to do it. Yeah. Thanks for being here, Ryan. I don't know. Sense of humor is my wheelhouse. I'm weird. I'm a siren way. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. But like, here's at the very base of what I'm trying to say is like, you've got your own magnetic magic. Like you have something that's different that isn't seen in the mainstream. Like you have your own weird, like magnetizing thing, like this thing that'll give like a chemical reaction to the people that are like hungry for your work. So like use it to your ability, like play with these gene keys. But like, I love that picturing yourself as a siren, like every single time that you post online, it's like, I actually posted a TikTok about this a while ago. It's like, can you almost see it as like you're calling out to all of the people? It's like your song that you put out every single time. And whether somebody gets that song in 20 minutes or whether somebody gets that song in like 2 years and they come to you and they're like, holy shit, I want to pay you for 6 months of coaching because that changed my life. Like you have that power. It's like a spell. Like it really is. Like I'm out of my spiritual era, but I'm always going to be a witch at heart. Like I'm always just a little witch weirdo. And I think everything that we do, it's like a little spell. It's like a little song that you put out and it comes back to you. So why is that? Why is it every human design person's business coaching seems geared toward coaching? You know, like geared towards business coaching or like helping other people. I think it's because, at least for me, in my experience, what if you don't want to be a coach? Oh, you don't have to be a coach. I think that like there's just a lot of lessons that you learn as you build your business that you're like, ooh, I would have really benefited from that if I would have known that in this way. And they just want to like pass it along. Like I often talk about the things that we struggle with in our business. They're kind of like this thorn in our side. And whenever you pull out that thorn and then you figure it out and you like whittle it into a unicorn and then you turn around and you're like, hey, I figured this out. Would you like to do this easier or would you like to learn my way? And it's like this magical little unicorn that used to be a thorn in your side, you know? So I think that a lot of people too, this is a very interesting thing. They'll go into business and then you end up, especially in like your first 2 years, like your ideal client shifts because you grow and you shift so much. Your niche probably shifts. Like I'm taking a really fun course this summer that I just like watch while I sip my coffee. It was like previously recorded. And she was talking about, she's like, God, yeah, like in the first 2 years of my business, I changed niches like 8 times. And like, can we just make that okay? That like sometimes you think that you're going into one thing and then it transforms because you learn something new about yourself. Or like once you've been doing like something and like stretching your talent, another talent emerges. And so I think that a lot of people end up probably going into the coaching because they realize like, hey, I've been through some of this stuff and I can help guide people. I can help make it easier for somebody else. But you don't ever have to do that. Like you get to be your own thing. You get to decide exactly what it is that you do. And that there doesn't have to just be like a fence that keeps you in. You know, I'm big on being like, how can you help people? Like say how you can help people, say how you're different. And then the right people will come into you. Picking a niche makes people think I need to stick to the thing as long as possible. So I'm a big believer of like, whenever we get started, and I've picked this up and it seemed to resonate true. And you take what you need from this because like at the end of the day, you know what truth is for you. Like, I am not here for you to be like, I have to listen to every single thing Stefan just says. No, like there are going to be pieces of what I say that you're like, ding, ding, ding. And there'll be other things where it's like, let it blow off your shoulders if it doesn't feel right. But one thing that I have learned is that whenever you're first getting started, it's really nice and almost like calming to your system to have like an anchor of what it is that you're talking about. I've heard it explained as like an umbrella. Like you have this umbrella and then all of the other things that you love are like ideas underneath this umbrella. I often say, especially when I'm working with manifesting generators, I'm like, take all the things that you love and see how you can shoot it through one prism. You know, like all of the different things you love through one prism. And even if that changes and grows and evolves, like that's okay. Like, can you believe that your audience is intelligent enough to go along for the ride with you and be like, holy shit, she was talking about human design 3 months ago. And now she's talking about like money or not. Like now she's talking about relationships. It doesn't matter. Like your people that love you, it's not even about like what it is that you're teaching. Like if we're being honest, the Gene Keys are my Trojan horse just for me to be myself and for me to share with you what I know, what I've experienced, what I've learned, my intuitive gifts. I'm a Trojan horse, right? Like I love the Gene Keys, but that's not all of who I am, right? And so there was a piece of me though that I decided to saddle up with the Gene Keys. And I decided like that was going to be important for me. I wanted to take something that I had learned and I had put so much time and effort into. And I was like, how can I like wring as much magic out of this as possible? Like, how can I look at these Gene Keys in a different way? And so for me, I just take all of the other things that I love talking about. Like now I used to hate content, like, cause I struggled with it. Now I love talking about content because I figured out how to use it through the Gene Keys. And so I shine that part of me through the prism of the Gene Keys. I know. Isn't it so fun, Nicole? I know it helped me so much too. Yeah, there is a lot of ways to be in business. Taking a niche that makes people think. Yeah, and so you know whenever it's time to evolve and change, but I will say like there is something about deciding you want to start with something and then letting yourself grow from there. And it's okay if it changes. It's okay if it evolves. And if you are just like totally rebellious against all things niche, then like talk about that. Like that would probably attract a lot of people to you that feel the exact same way as you. Like you have these feelings and you have this understanding for a reason. There's a lot of things in like the online business and online coaching arena that I wholeheartedly disagree with where I am at right now in my life. And sometimes I voice those things and that brings in the people to me that are like, I get it. I know exactly what you're saying. And if you were to try to fit yourself in just this box and try to have it all figured out right now, that's what stifles your real creativity. Because I had to let go of, I did a post on this the other day, let go of being married to every single post that I make, because you're going to grow. You're going to evolve the more that you make masterclasses, the more that you create courses, the more that you show up and do magical fitness or spells or wizardry on people, like whatever it is that you do, make fancy pancakes, like put lighting in houses, like whatever you do, like you're going to grow and you're going to evolve with it and your opinions are going to change. And so you have to be willing to like be in this now moment and realize like what you have to share, what is exciting to you is important, and just share that. Oh, another thing is like, if you feel like sometimes it's a little difficult to get that through like written content, that's when I always say to people, I'm like, go live more often. Because honestly, even though it made me so uncomfortable whenever I started doing it at first, like the more I started going live, the more I started understanding what my audience was looking for, and B, like what they were wanting to learn. And I don't make all of my decisions from that, but like I like to be aware of that. Like if you have a line 5 in your system, you have to be aware of like listening as much as you do your own thing and channel your leadership. So I feel like that goes for everybody though. The more you go live, you understand what people's needs are, the things that they're working on, the ways that you can help them. But also like you get more clear about what it is that you're teaching and what it is important to you. And so long-winded way of me walking away from the threes, but like I love all of these questions. So like continue the questions because like I could talk about money motivation all day long. Two reports. So what I have right now, and I will answer your question, Rain, in just a minute. What I have right now, I don't do just like full Gene Key reads unless you want it through the lens of your business. It's really like for me, I felt like I didn't just want to do like readings like human design readers or just like plain things. I wanted to make it something elevated and really special. So what I do, if you go to the business consult under my link in bio, this is where we take your business Gene Key chart and your Gene Key chart. And basically I give you a roadmap of all of the things that are going to make you very successful, all of the things that you need to know in your business moving forward. Because to me, that felt like a piece of art. Like that felt like this elevated thing that I could offer to people. But if you just want a little bit of guidance whenever it comes to your Gene Keys, I have a double masterclass and a 60-minute one-to-one Voxer where I pull up your Gene Key chart. I grab the pieces that you need and I do Voxer voice note coaching. You can like ask questions. We can creatively riff about the things that you're working on in your business. Literally an hour. I was telling Nicole, I was like, I can't put this in my bio, but like an hour with me will change your life. It will change the trajectory of your business. Hour with me will change your life. But really, like once you learn that information, it changes everything. So it just depends on what level you're looking for. If you want like that lickety split, like I want an hour of support, go for that one. If you really want to take it to this next level and understand yourself and your business, that is where my business consult comes in. It feels very special, feels very sacred. I know for me that like the energy and the love that I put into learning these gene keys and teaching these gene keys, like it's for a specific container that like once you step into it, nothing in your life is ever the same. So that's like a little spell in its own self. So those are my two options right now. But if you follow me over on Instagram, in my stories, I always have different offers. I usually have courses, but right now, before I start another course, I'm just doing the recorded masterclass with the one-to-one coaching and then the business consults. Okay, let's go back up. So I hope that answers your question for you. So yes. But then there's also just like I do business coaching too, where if you just need support for a month in your business, I'm here for that. Where we do Boxer and we just kind of break down your gene keys over that month, and you get to like lean into them and ask questions. Okay, so the gate 46. I love the 46 because it's all about like physical reality, right? And so this is like for the person that's really in flow with themselves, they can come off as lucky to other people. They just like come out shining where there's a lot of like synchronicity to their life. And really this is all about almost like I want to say the word worship, like worshiping this physical existence. You know how so many people, I know for me, whenever I first like started my spiritual journey years ago, I was like obsessed with intuition and aliens. And I was like, how do we get off this planet? Like, I don't know if anybody else has ever gone through that phase in their spiritual journey, but that's where mine started. But your 46 is actually about like worshiping this existence and like the decadence of a freshly like plucked peach off of a tree, like that vacation and standing at a beach that you've never been to, like all of the decadence of living life, like you are here to spill that out of your system and teach people the importance of like living physically. Like these people are very, very good when it comes to like even fitness or anything that like keeps you tethered and grounded to this earth and loving your existence while you're here. And then the 29, I always think about that. The very first person I did a reading for that had the 29, she's a hypnotherapist. And I told her she reminded me of a mermaid. And so I think about this mermaid as like this person that's willing to like dive deep into emotions. They like go deeper than other people so that they can bring back the gold. Like they're not surface level people. And also like with that 29, there is a magic of like collaboration. So you do really well whenever you collaborate with other people. And then also like you're supposed to say yes to things. Like you're supposed to be the person that like says, as long as your body's not like, no, like you do really well the more that you can say yes to. So I see those two combined and it's like saying yes to all of the possible things that you can do while you're here on this earth and experiencing them all and teaching from all of those things. Supposed to be a manifester, but I don't have vision and rarely original ideas. Hi, Woodrow. My husband's a manifester. And so I almost want to say, like, first, I think that like a lot of times we brush off our original ideas because we don't think that they're good enough. So first and foremost, like what's wrong with being this person that like takes something that already exists and makes it better? Because like that's how I experience these gene keys. Like they already existed, but the way that I take them and the way that I teach them, I get to make them better because they're in my own way. They're in my own words. Like, and if you've heard the saying, like everything's already been done, like what if we can just like let that go and understand that like anything that you bring to this world has never been done before because you've never done it. You've never said it. You've never talked about it. So like actually, Woodrow, like seeing yourself and the way that you experience things and the way that you put things together in your mind as important, that's going to be like ding, 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 the winner for you because like genuinely, you have to see yourself as cool. You've got to see yourself. Like I tell my husband this all the time. So maybe it's a manifestor thing as well. But it's like you really got to see yourself as groovy. And then whenever you show up in that energy, you really get behind this inspired action that you end up taking. And you're really here to help teach the rest of us and inform the rest of us and show the rest of us like what you can do whenever you put your mind to something. So don't ever underestimate your own coolness, and let go of like having to have this like mic drop original idea. And like, what if you just shared, I call this duh content. Like, what if you just shared what it is that you know, and that was enough to draw people into you? And that was enough to spark your magic. That was enough to magnetize people to you, just what you already know. Because the more you open the door for that and you love what you have now, the more ideas come barreling through. So for 2, what kind of ways besides making content would you suggest to make oneself recognizable? You know, other than making content, what I would do is, if there are certain things that you want to do in this world, like not waiting to be invited, like which is like everything different from what you hear with projectors, right? But like, there is a certain element, and this is like my personal opinion. You take what you need from this, right, Melissa? I don't think that it's bad whenever we're building up our business to put yourself out there, to like say, hey, like I'm available for this. And then people get to like invite you. People get to say yay or nay. So like, if you want to be on somebody's podcast, if you want to like get yourself out there, go put yourself out there. Like, you can't just wait for like every single person to come to you all the time. And I feel like it helps you grow the more that you're willing to say like, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. They can say yay or nay. It's the same with like showing up on social media. Like, you don't have to like wait to be invited. The invitation is whenever they click on your page and they say, I want to learn more from you. And so I don't think that it's bad to put yourself out there as a projector. This is my personal opinion. I'm buddy with so many human design readers, but like, you have that drive to be recognized. So like, why would you hide your light under a bushel? Why would you just like wait for somebody to tell you that you're important, instead of being like, puff up the feathers in your chest and be like, hey, like I am somebody worth seeing, my goodness. So I would do, if like that's the kind of route that you're trying to go down, if you want more people to learn about who you are, I think podcasts are excellent for that. I think like going live on other people's Instagrams. And so like saying, hey, if you ever want to go live, like if you want to talk about this topic, that's a really good thing too. But I'm big on content creation being like a way to magnetize people to you. But it's kind of like you find your own little formula with it. But I do feel whenever you have that too, it's like, how do we get on video and like put ourselves out there and get better and better at it? Because like, people want to see your face. They want to feel you through the screen and they want to learn from you. So you are meant to get up and shine. I'm a 35 projector. My purpose is Gene Key 38. Oh, I love the 38, Hillary. Oh my God. Okay. So first and foremost, with that 3, you have been on that roller coaster ride. And so you get to vocalize all of the things that you learn from the roller coaster ride with that 5. So you take all of your stories, all of your experience, and then you get up on your soapbox and tell it. It's like experience, tell it, experience, tell it. And so what's really cool about blending that with the 38th gene key, and I always think about Lady Gaga, because she has this in her radiance. And I also think about like Hercules. So that song, I Can Go the Distance. The 38 is known as like the fighter and the warrior. And so this is somebody that's like all about persistence. And so like every single story that you tell, it's like all about this persistence, how you overcame it, like how you navigated through it. And that is what's going to call in people to you. So it's almost like, it doesn't matter what it is you do. Like there's this underneath level of like this warrior of like, I can do anything. And that inspires a lot of people, because not a lot of people have that oomph inside them, or they need someone to guide them to like turn that on inside themselves. I know whenever I hired a business coach, I was so turned on by the fact that she like took action every single day. And that's not where I was at. Like I was not like in that space, but I knew if I started like hanging out with this person and learning from this person, I would start acting like that as well. And so there are other people that need your oomph, that need your fire. So how do you blend that like overcoming energy and like all of these stories, all of these things that you've navigated through, and like share them And how do you blend that with something that you're passionate about, that you want to teach about, that you want to share about, that you want to build a business around? So keeping those things in mind. You really do help other people fight those challenges and those obstacles. If you think about like a video game, there's always the things that like we're going to have to naturally navigate through. It's not like we're just sitting around anticipating them, but it's like you grow and you get bigger and you get stronger every time. So you really do help guide people through that because of the path that you've walked before. Let me see. Ooh, you're a 3-5 projector too? Nice. Lots of projectors here. Oh, I've been in the contemplation for a few months and it's all come together. Oh my gosh, isn't it cool? I'm kind of a stinker when it comes to contemplation. Although like every single one of my gene keys has been like layers of an onion, right? Like over this past like year plus that I've been doing them, I get a fuller and fuller version. Like the more readings that I do for people and the more that like it's crazy, but also like I've fallen in love with the action part of it too, of being like, okay, so how do I take this idea? Like I'm a big believer in the archetypes. And actually what we were kind of getting at earlier, Melissa, is writing down those archetypes. So using a website called Unlock Your Design. And there's also Christy and Nij who writes more about human design. But both of those websites, if you type in your gene key, will give you an archetype. I have an ebook coming out too that is going to have like a different breakdown from my own point of view of what those archetypes are. But if you can like write down those archetypes and then like almost let yourself brain dump the ideas that come to you through these archetypes is really, really cool. Like, so one of mine is, since we were talking about humor earlier, one of mine is called the comedian. And so it's like, how do I show up and have more of that like lighthearted, fun vibe in my content and just like how I show up in my business? And like, obviously like memes would be one of them. It would be like being kind of goofy on my videos, like all of these different ideas that I could write down that like feel very much like me, like being silly on my stories, like coming back to my business and the things that I sell, but letting myself have the pop of those energies as well. So taking those archetypes and then kind of like letting yourself brainstorm and brain dump, even if you do it like every single week, like you don't have to use every single one of those ideas, but let them like guide you, like let them be a thing that sparks your creativity. And then you start really using your profile numbers to like guide how you teach that and how you show up. Oh, I might have to continue the money motivators tomorrow. Girl, still in my spiritual journey. I haven't had that phase yet. Oh, you're a 5'1". I'm a 5'2". Oh, I'm so glad you caught it too, Nicole. I always love whenever you're here. I had so much fun at that online retreat last weekend. That was so cool. Oh, it was like literally 10 weeks of planning of something I had never done before, bringing together all of these different like industry leading speakers and business owners. And I was like, like getting it all organized. But like after it was done, it was the most freeing like experience because it was like I accomplished something I've never done before. It was so cool. And then I got myself a pizza and I ate the whole thing over 3 days because my husband was out of town. So like that was my big celebration for doing something I never did. I went and got myself a pizza and a cannoli. It was so fun. Okay, but 5'1s. Okay, so I'm a 5'2". I live with a 5'1" though, so I'm very familiar with the energy. I love teaching about fives because I feel like it's something that doesn't get touched on enough in human design. And just like talking about it in general. But the 5'1s, you guys have to be willing to step up on your soapbox and shine. You have to be willing to have different opinions than everybody else. I did a really goofy meme a couple of weeks ago with like Kermit and then like evil Kermit and they're like talking to each other. And the fifth line was like, post like everyone else, you fool. And then the good Kermit was like, he's like, no, I like being brave and different. So like you have to be willing to rock the boat to a certain extent for what you believe in. And this, as a retired people pleaser, scared the shit out of me whenever I first started doing that. But it doesn't mean it's wrong. It does not mean it's wrong. Like, there are things that you know that it's just like you need to deliver it in like you throw down the smoke, like the magicians, like the puff of smoke, you come out, you drop some wisdom, and then you throw it back and you disappear. Like, you're that fast with your wisdom because you've actually, especially with that one, you've done the studying. You've done the research to be able to drop that information and come back. So like, you're very like, there's a lot of juice in like logic and understanding that like makes people feel grounded and feel secure in themselves whenever they're hearing that wisdom from you. Where like, I'm a 5'2", so like my husband's often like, how does it feel flying by the seat of your pants? Like, that's, I'm not a total fly by the seat of my pants, but the twos are more just like, they come in with their own magic. Yours is like, and so people that are drawn to that and like want to learn that way, they love that. But yours is more like solid and makes people feel secure and be like, there's facts and fiction, like all the things that need to like back this up. Like, they're facts. And so that changes things, and that really changes the way that people listen to you. You're able to solve problems for other people very quickly, very easily, but you have to be selective about the problems that you solve, because as a 5, it can be easy to get caught up in fixing everybody's bullshit, and you're not meant to do that. You're meant to just do yours. Like, do what feels good to you. Like, the more defined you can get at the problem that you solve for people, the better. So like, you'll see me sometimes whenever people like ask questions on here, and if it like doesn't feel exciting to me or interesting, or even if it feels like out of my wheelhouse, like, I don't need to go fake it till I make it with that stuff. You know, I can be like, no, actually, you can go here for that information. Like, you can go over there for that information. This is what's coming through though. Whenever you ask, like, I'll just give you my point of view, but like, or I'll be like, I don't want to, like, that's not the kind of work that I do. No, thank you. You know, so you get to decide, and you get to gobble up information and then share it. No, I mean, starting my own socials, what kind of innovations I'm interested in is within design. Wait. I've been invited to do podcasts. Oh, you're welcome. Oh yeah, Unlock Your Design is really, really good. I believe they're called smoke bombs. That's so funny. All right. Well, I feel complete for today. I think we're going to continue the money motivation talk tomorrow or Sunday. I'll dive into the other ones. Usually I have an idea of the things that I want to talk about when I get on here, but then whenever people start asking questions, my little magical soul is just like, let's talk about other things too. So I will continue the money motivation in another day, and make sure you go follow me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me over here to learn more about how to use your Gene Keys with your business. If you are interested in that Keys to Content Masterclass, it's needed. Oh, I love the turtle. God, why am I obsessed with emojis? Like, it's literally my language. I love it. But make sure, if you are looking to post more in your online business and really have fun with it, like showing up on Instagram, showing up on TikTok every day, make sure you go get that Keys to Content double masterclass. You can watch it at your own pace, but with that, you get an hour of one-to-one Voxer voice note coaching with me, where I help you go over all of your Gene Keys. I answer your questions and guide you in the right direction of your next steps. So that's $120. Make sure you go get that. I'm doing that for the month of July. Oh, get to know me in another way. Yes, it's so fun to get to know ourselves in this other way. I'm so glad that I got to be here and hang out with you. Oh, yes, exactly. It's so true. Like, that's what I love about this, is like, it just shows us how unique we really are. If you were listening to me talk in the very beginning about like how many mathematical equations, like how many different ways your chart could be set up, and why you are you. And so how we can like piggyback on that energy and really shine with that too. So, all right. Well, I will talk to you guys later. Make sure you go follow me over on Instagram and sign up for that Keys to Content Masterclass and that one-to-one session. Bye-bye. All right. Okay. So I got through 2 of them. This is what usually happens on Q&As, but There's always a lot of good information in here too that just I'm a big believer that like whenever you come to something, whenever you learn something, whenever you're listening to something, it's there for a reason. So there are pieces of gold in there for you to just take and run with. Next time I get on a live, we'll be talking about the rest of the money motivators and the gene keys. And really every single thing in the gene key can be a money motivator because it's like it's a piece of you, it's a piece of yourself that you're turning on. But we will go into those lines that are in the pearl, and I hope you have the most beautiful rest of your day. Bye bye.